This is breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.
Here and helping us get out the information that's needed and important for the constituents of the state of Nevada. So, as you know, over the last several days, our state has been responding to a cyber attack targeting Nevada's systems. While this incident has posed challenges, I want Nevadans to know one thing clearly. Our government and our partners acted quickly and effectively to secure the critical services our communities rely on. Yesterday, I traveled to Elko, Eureka, and Ely for pre-planned events in order to meet with local government officials and constituents to discuss emergency management and economic issues. I understand my presence was noticed in yesterday's press conference, and I appreciate the notice. But as you work through the crisis model, the crisis phasing, I participate in the mitigation and preparedness to prepare for a crisis, and that is my role as your governor. Additionally, my role is to be front-facing during the response to the crisis, in which I was intimately involved on an hourly basis, providing the resources and the garnering of partnerships to respond to the crisis. And eventually we move into the recovery piece of a crisis, and that is more of a technical response provided by my directors and the experts in the recovery that is necessary in response to any crisis. And subsequently, I felt comfortable in being absent in yesterday's press conference. Yesterday's press conference and today's press conference is nothing more to give an update on the current investigation, the recovery, and how we're going to continue to operate into the future. So I want everybody to have a confidence with that behavior moving forward. Today's a similar briefing to our Southern Nevada media partners so that we can continue to get constituents the information they need. With that, first and foremost, I want to thank the men and women of our state's IT teams and our federal partners at the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. Thank you. Their professional response prevented this attack from doing any greater harm. And I don't say that lightly. As you can imagine, there's a lot of moving parts during a crisis, no matter what it is, form or fashion. And we rely on our partners and even third-party vendors to help us in this endeavor. And I'm here to tell you they've done a robust response. They are acting quickly, and they continue to act as we move forward through the mitigation of this. As the federal law enforcement works to address the attack and attackers, we are working to restore services at the state level. Nevadans can rest assured that we are all working together 24/7 to keep them safe. As soon as this incident emerged, my team and I met with the Governor's Technology Office and every single state agency to identify which services were needed to prioritize in the restoration process. As you can imagine, the state has a lot of moving parts and a lot of different departments that are responsible to the constituents of the state, along with the safety of the constituents of the state. So our team came together and we determined what was front-facing and what was critical to ensure that safety and response to people's needs. And we triaged those particular items, because if you hit it all with a dart in a dartboard, you don't breed success. And through experience in addressing these type of issues, the prioritization is needed so your resources are the most useful they can be during the time of need. So I'm going to walk you through that shortly here. Well, actually right now to give you a further understanding, our thought process and what we actually did. We successfully restored Nevada's access to the National Crime Information Center, which ensures that law enforcement agencies in Nevada has access to criminal histories for any necessary inquiry. As you can imagine, your first responders and the troops in the field, and even in our detention systems, not having the ability to query the individuals, determine their background or whether they have existing threats that they need to be aware of. So that's first priority for the safety of our employees and the public in that endeavor. We also restored the access to the National Instant Criminal Background System, which allows law enforcement to check criminals' backgrounds, which is very important and vital in the need to evaluate their eventual arrest and or incarceration or removal. State payroll has distributed normally, State payroll has distributed normally along with all PERS distributions for the month of August. In other words, all the employees involved in state government are getting paid as long as the retirees and their stipends that they receive on a monthly basis. And the pupil-centered funding program was also successfully transmitted to the bank this morning, is on track to be in the recipient's bank accounts by Tuesday. If you have questions reference that is nothing more than how we fund the local districts and the funneling of financial support through the state and ensure that the education system and the students continue to learn through the process. As we would continue our recovery for constituent-facing services, I want to ensure that Nevadans have a clear, reliable access to information about how to navigate this situation. That's why today I'm announcing two key resources for Nevadans: an expanded 211 phone line. Now, instead of just providing information on accessing DHH systems, health services programs, Nevadans can receive up-to-date information on how to access state services during this recovery period by dialing 211 or visiting nevada211.org. And we will present those up on the screens to ensure everybody gets the accurate information. The central website, which is www.oem.nv.gov/recovery, and I know nobody wrote that down that fast, but we will ensure that that information is portrayed, and hopefully you can convey that to your listening audiences. This site will serve as a single source of truth for all information related to this incident. Whether you're looking for updates on services, security guidance, or recovery timelines, this website will have all that you need. The information will be updated, it'll be a living document, and the Q&A is very robust on that for pending questions or assumed questions. So after my remarks today, my Homeland Security Advisor, Tim Robb, will detail more of our triage efforts today. Not yet, Tim. We will also have several agency directors here today to provide critical updates on state services under their purview. Today we will hear from Director Tanya Laney, Department of Motor Vehicles, Director Richard Whitley, Department of Health and Human Services, Director Stacy Weeks, Nevada Health Authority, Director Chris Sanchez, Department of Business and Industry, and Director Chris Sewell, Department of Employment, Training, and Rehabilitation. All front-facing services. I think it's important for our constituents to be aware of where we are, where we are going, and our current situation. Okay, so now I want to directly address the media. Over the last several days, too much of the coverage has been focused on the attackers. I assure you the investigation is ongoing and progressing. It's frustrating, I understand, but a lot of that information is confidential, it's moving quickly, and we don't have all the answers associated with that. I know it's important for the public to be aware, but we can't compromise the investigation as a result for a zest for information. Transparency is present, and I want you comfortable with that. If it is something that would affect the safety of the constituents of the state of Nevada, you will know, and I appreciate your cooperation in that effort. What I ask our team to provide you with information as quickly as possible, but to prioritize accuracy over speed. I ask the media to do the same thing. Let's get this right together. Example being, recently in the news, the governor's office, my office, stated that we at this time were unaware of any personal information released into the public. That's what we knew at the time. Subsequently, as early as Tuesday evening, that stance changed as we received the information. That's why it's important for people to understand the speed of the information needs to be quantified and qualified as we work through this critical process. So let's keep the public informed, and as interesting as parts of this may be, it is just as important for the people of the state to know where to go for information and who to contact if they have a problem. I ask for your cooperation in that endeavor. Please highlight the 211 phone line, share the recovery website, help us get the word out about resources available to the public. Nevadans need clarity and confidence, not fear or speculation. Our state is resilient. We will emerge from this incident stronger, more secure, and more prepared for the future. Together with hard work of our IT professionals, the cooperation of state employees across agencies, and the support of all Nevadans, we will move forward. I assure you that, with total confidence. With that, I'd like to invite Director Tim Robb up to speak further about the state's ongoing recovery efforts. As I leave the dais, obviously we will do Q&A at the conclusion of this. I want everybody to be aware I am fully engaged, have never lost contact with any of my directors, and as early as 24 hours a day, as constant as 24 hours a day, there's been constant conversation. I have never been unavailable as your governor during this crisis. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Governor. Again, my name is Tim Robb. I am the Governor's Homeland Security Advisor. I'm going to give you a quick update on some of our prioritization efforts. So at the Governor's direction and in consultation with all of our state agencies, we've worked really hard to identify those key things that need to come back on so that we can provide the services that Nevadans need. We are doing that constantly, and that document is changing as we are able to get certain systems up. We're able to bring other things higher on the priority list. So the governor went over several things that we've been able to accomplish over the past few days, and we continue to make a lot of progress. We have restored internet service to the majority of our state infrastructure. A lot of those offices that are still coming up are in the process of working with our governor's technology office to get there, and they will continue to make progress on eating away at the remaining offices that are struggling to connect to the internet. That also goes with phones. A lot of our phone service is voice over IP, so it takes the internet to be restored for our phone services to be restored as well. So we continue to prioritize that backbone that's necessary to have those services to provide to the state. We also, I want to mention again, the governor mentioned it a little bit earlier, the Office of Emergency Management has the website up. That will continually be updated. That will constantly be the place where we're putting as much information as we have on the services being provided. So as contact information for offices change and we continue to grow in our recovery efforts, that will be the place where Nevadans can go to find the information they need. Some things that we still have in progress that are pretty high on the priority list. So C-tax distributions to local governments. That's something that our local governments in the state really need, and we are on track to hopefully make those payments on time, and we continue to make progress as we move forward in getting those systems online to be able to do so. The restoration of our dispatch and record systems for the Department of Public Safety and for our state law enforcement partners across the state at the state and local level. We've made some progress there. The governor mentioned the NCIC and the NICS systems that have been able to be brought back online, and we continue to make progress there. Hopefully we'll have additional progress to share in the near future as well. Restoration of DMV customer-facing systems. We know that that's something that Director Laney has been working really hard to restore, and we're hopeful to have some great news there in the relative near future in the next couple of days as well. The Office of Science, Innovation, and Technology, their website is up for public comment for the BEAD funding opportunities. That's a federal funding opportunity. That has been restored, and we're working through the process on that. So just, we are working diligently to ensure the systems that we need to provide the services that the state does to Nevadans and our jurisdictions that rely on us are coming back online. The governor mentioned our kind of run of show for speakers coming up. Director Laney, before I pass it over to you, I want to mention some of the other state leadership we have in the room as well. We have representatives from leadership from the Department of Veteran Services, the Governor's Office of Energy, the Cannabis Compliance Board, the Department of Corrections, the Department of Public Safety, the Office of Workforce Innovation, the Gaming Control Board, the Office for New Americans, and our Office for Emergency Management. So with that, I will pass it over to Director Laney.
Good afternoon. I'm Tanya Laney, and I'm the Director of the Nevada Department of Motor Vehicles. We understand the DMV is the most recognized and accessed public agency in the state of Nevada, but we want to remind our citizens that this statewide outage is impacting almost every state agency's operations and connectivity that impact safety, and health and human services fields need to take priority over the DMV services. That being said, the Governor's Technology Office, in cooperation with the Nevada DMV's Information Technology Team, are working around the clock for resolution in reconnecting the public with the services that we offer. All DMV staff that can provide any assistance and support during the outage have been reporting to the offices on a daily basis. Any staff fully impacted by the outage are ready to return at a moment's notice to resume activities, and as of today, that is 100% of our staff that are in office. Absolutely every available staff member and vendor are all hands on deck with triaging possible solutions to get us back up and running as quickly as possible. Services that are currently available at the DMV are as follows. Know to Drive, driver's license permit testing online through our partners at Numo, rapid registration and turbo titling for private party sales and out-of-state transfers through our partners Salesforce and Slalom, online complaint system for our compliance enforcement division, and our contact center is utilizing chats to answer questions for customers, and our website is back online through the great work of our IT team and the assistance of AWS, Amazon Web Services. The website being up does not mean that online transactions are available. It simply means that our website is up so that we can now communicate with our constituents to let them know what is available and when our doors are going to reopen to the public. In addition, we continue to post updates as they become available on our DMV social media accounts, which include Facebook, Instagram, and X, and that's monitored by our public information officers. In addition, I'm pleased to announce today that in addition to the services that we've been offering since yesterday, we're also offering written tests for our CDL drivers and drive tests as well for the CDL community. We are in regular communication with our largest business partner in the state, the auto dealers in Nevada. We thank the Nevada Franchise Auto Dealers Association for their support, patience, and open communication with us during this outage. We hear your frustrations, and we are feverishly reviewing solutions to get back online to assist that community as fast as possible. In addition, we do have emission stations that are back online and processing emissions as of today. We are conducting drive tests as scheduled, and we are making up the backlog of the Monday and Tuesday missed appointments with additional staff that may have previously been drive examiners and moved to different divisions. We're bringing them in to catch up on that backlog, and we should be through that within the next couple days. Common concerns that are coming in, we hear you. We will be waiving any late fees or penalties that are occurring as a result of this outage. Any expiration dates that fall in the closure window are being programmed to be waived. Upon resuming in-person services, we will be honoring any appointments we were not able to see during the outage for a period of at least 2 weeks as a walk-in accommodation. We are working closely with the Governor's Office and our law enforcement partners to ask them to be lenient with customers that fall into this time frame. Let me be clear that this leniency is only going to apply to our customers that are expired during the outage period. We also hear the community when you're telling us that you feel like this is post-COVID times where individuals are going to use this as an excuse to drive around unregistered for another amount of time. We are paying attention to that, and this will only apply to the outage period, we can assure you. We are working closely with the Governor's Office to address any additional waivers or exceptions that may be needed in the coming days if we see that there's impact to other business areas outside of driver's license and registration that we have not thought of through the outage with expiration dates. Important note, we are asking the public to be very cautious of any services third-party industry members that are stating that they can perform DMV services, or really any other state agency services for that matter, during this outage. If we are shut down, they also cannot perform these services, and we do not want to see our constituents fall victim to an unfortunate situation during the outage of exorbitant fees and being taken advantage of because of this outage. In closing, we greatly appreciate the governor's office and our fellow state agencies. Their immediate and continuous support has meant the world to us. This event has proven that our state agencies and this administration can come together to get the hardest of the hard accomplished, and we greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Richard Whitley. I serve as the Director for the Department of Human Services. We provide in our agency a wide variety of services that people are in need of. We do it in multiple ways, largely with a website. Access Nevada is a way to apply for the supportive services, everything from Medicaid application to supplemental nutrition assistance program, SNAP, or sometimes called food stamps, temporary assistance for needy families, that's cash assistance. These all serve people who are experiencing poverty in some way or have meta criteria of eligibility due to financial circumstances. That's been our primary entry point, and that system is not accessible right now. But what is accessible, and I provided this yesterday and will provide it again, the Welfare and Social Services offices are all open, and people who come to the office, their applications can be processed. Staff do have access to the internet, but our website is not open. So just to distinguish that in-office welfare and social service offices are open and the applications are being processed. But in social services, we always have new people coming in and we have existing clients. And for us, the big concern has been what impacts the largest group of people. But certainly if you're a person in need, whatever you need will impact you. And so we certainly appreciate it, the governor's reference to 211. It's why people may come to our offices and have a need, but it gets revealed that there are other things they need as well. And we work that way, so we, and by we, I mean the staff in those offices work to get people what they need, regardless of whether we determine their eligibility or not. So they navigate people. That eligibility is not disrupted in the offices. But our big concern was existing clients, and particularly in the SNAP program, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance. Without sounding bureaucratic, but a couple years ago, the USDA changed how they unfolded the benefits. It used to be once a month. Maybe you went to the grocery store and you saw that at the beginning of the month there were people who perhaps were using an EBT card. It works just like your bank card, so it's intended not to identify people, but now it's been spread out over 10 days of each month. So September 1, benefits will begin to be put on the cards that individuals have who are qualified for this program. I think somebody before me had mentioned that we rely on third-party vendors. We rely on all of our programs, and often they're different third-party vendors, to be the go-between to actually upload the data to the federal government to then put these benefits on cards. In the beginning of this event, the vendor heard about what was happening in Nevada, and our priority was, in addition to getting new people their applications process was to not have delays in existing consumers who will be starting to expect benefits being uploaded on September 1. We were able to, really because of the IT staff that we have who are looking at the problem, in the immediate moment, fixing the problem, we were able to get the certification that was required to provide to the third-party vendor to transfer that data. We had till the end of today to not have a delay on Monday, and it was accepted, and the data transfer will take place. And so we didn't want the problem to be compounded and current people who have been using their card to not have that happen. So I'm big dealing that because it was a big concern because it impacts the largest group of people. It's definitely Nevada Access, that web portal, is a helpful tool to people who can apply for benefits online, but it is not available right now. It is a priority to have it stood up. We want it stood up safely, and we need to wait for that to occur. In the meantime, if you're able to steer people to Nevada 211 or to our offices, fully staffed and in Las Vegas from 7 a.m. to 5. And if there's a line, we won't close our office. We'll serve people, but the applications will be processed. The final thing is there is a delay. We rely on a lot of nonprofits as partners to deliver a lot of our services. And so for this week, we have not made payments to nonprofit organizations, as with any state agency. And again, until the system is safe, we're not using that. So there are delays to some of those nonprofits. We're communicating out. I mean, if you imagine they're in an environment right now where changes, many have lost ARPA funding because it came to an end. We're not in the pandemic. There was a big infusion to nonprofits for that funding. That went away. And now delayed payments, they're fragile organizations. And so we're reaching out to our nonprofits. I've asked staff to provide them a phone number to a live person in our office who can actually help if they are having a difficult situation. Every request that I've made of our IT staff to actually prioritize a experience that possibly could do harm, it was elevated up, as evident by the certification with SNAP. It has worked. And so I just want to say that we're understanding to nonprofits who were struggling before this event, some of them, and that we are doing the best to support them. The consumers come to our office. I'm sorry the website is not working and accessible, but you can call our offices. The numbers work, and you can also come into our offices, and staff will assist with application. So thank you.
Good afternoon. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm Stacy Weeks. I'm the director of the Nevada Health Authority. As I mentioned yesterday, the Nevada Health Authority is up and running. I feel very grateful for the public servants that work at our department, as I'm sure many of the directors here today can also say. They were ready and willing to come to work when they were able to get their laptops and figure out creative ways to keep our services going. Like I mentioned yesterday, Medicaid coverage for current members and services, as well as our public employee benefits plan, is unaffected. People should be able to go to their doctor, get care, providers will get paid. Our exchange platform is a separate vendor from the state and is fully operational, so nothing there has changed. Anyone who is on a private health plan that bought their plan through the exchange or needs to apply for coverage because they have a qualifying event can access our exchange. Providers, like I mentioned, can get paid by Medicaid and PEB, And I'm happy to say, as of this morning, while spotty, our phone lines are up and going at our district offices, so we don't have to tell you our email address, but I will go ahead and give it again, medicaid@nvha.mv.gov. That is available for anyone to reach us. It's business as usual at those offices. We're doing our best to do care coordination and serve those individuals. And that is for our Medicaid offices. For PEB, they can reach assistance from our office as well. Those phone lines are also up and running. For people, as Director Whitley mentioned, for people seeking to apply for new Medicaid coverage and benefits, we are very hopeful after today and the next coming days that those systems will be communicating again and up and functional. In the meantime, we're really stressing and working closely with the Division of Social Services and Director Whitley's team on manual workarounds with our hospitals as well as our caseworkers. People can still use paper applications. We have been working with our federal partners to make sure coverage will be honored. I just want to say thank you to everyone, the public and our providers, for their patience and partnership as we navigate this fluid situation and unfortunate event. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Sanchez, the Director of the Department of Business and Industries, Nevada's regulatory agency. I also want to just thank everybody for their patience as we're working through this process. Please know that the information I'm providing today, along with the appropriate contact information for each of our divisions at the department, will be posted on the department's Facebook, X, and LinkedIn. First, I want to mention that at Business and Industry, we understand that our job is to ensure that Nevada's licensed professionals can continue to keep our economy moving. If you require licensing services from the division within the Department of Business and Industry and have been unable to meet a licensing filing deadline because of the outage, our agency will work with you. Similar to the DMV, we'll have a 2-week period where you can get your application processed. We will waive any late fees, and our goal is to continue to ensure that you can do the work that you're all doing. We just ask that you have your paperwork ready, dot all your I's and cross all your T's, and we'll get you processed very quickly. All agency hearings scheduled that have been affected by the outage have been postponed. We want to make sure that we have full transparency and everybody is able to attend the meetings and the public forums that they can. And so we've postponed those meetings and we will be rescheduling. So once we are fully up and operating, you can check our website. Our website is up. We were able to migrate to a new web platform about 2 weeks ago. And so the Business and Industry website is up. It's not perfect because it's new and we were perfecting it. But nonetheless, it does have a lot of the basic information that you may need pertaining to our agencies. And our social media accounts are being updated every day to reflect the current state of our agencies. Business and Industry is a complex department. We have a number of agencies, so if you'll bear with me for a minute, I'll go through each of those agencies and tell you where we are. The Division of Industrial Relations is open to the public. Internet and telephone systems have been restored, and email remains ineffective. Staff are available to provide technical assistance, answer questions, and accept payments. This includes the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, the Mechanical Compliance Section, and the Safety Consultation and Training Section. The Claims and Regulatory Data System, or CARDS as it's referred to, is still down and deadlines for submissions will be extended. The Division of Insurance. Division of Insurance has returned to near normal operations. Telephone systems and emails are functioning normally, and the agency's website remains offline. The Financial Institutions Division. Applicants can still apply for a license through the nationwide multi-state licensing system, the MNLS. And for questions, concerns, or complaints, constituents can contact the division at fidmaster@fid.state.nv.us. That's FIDMASTER@fid.state.nv.us. The Real Estate Division. The Nevada Real Estate Division is now open for all in-person services. The division's website is currently down. However, phone lines, emails are operational, and staff are available to help. Taxi Authority. Telephones are working, and dispatch remains open. Nevada Transportation Authority. Members of the enforcement staff are conducting business as usual during this time. Again, call the main line for assistance. And then we have the following agencies that are still experiencing the outage. Nevada Housing Division, the Nevada Consumer Affairs Unit, Government Employee Management Relations Board, the Nevada Attorney for Injured Workers, Mortgage Lending Division, and the Office of the Labor Commissioner. Our IT team at Business and Industry is working very closely with the OCIO's office. We are restoring service as quickly as we can. Our team is working tirelessly on doing so, and I have to thank the OCIO team and Tim DeLuzzi and his team because they have been in the trenches, so to speak, since this happened, and have been in constant communications with our IT folks. And so as we get divisions up and running, we will communicate that via the social media platforms that I mentioned, as well as coordinating with the governor's office and making sure that it's on the master website here. Thank you for your time, and I think Director Sewell is next from the Department of Employment, Training, and Rehabilitation.
Good afternoon. Chris Sewell, Department of Employment, Training, and Rehabilitation. Like I said yesterday, I want to assure everyone, every Nevadan, DETR is up and running and serving Nevadans. As everyone knows, we have a new system called NUI, and it is fully operational. It never went down. The system is siloed away from the state infrastructure for that specific reason. Our call center is operational. Claims are being processed, and claimants are being paid, and claimants are getting paid. For claimants that want to check on their unemployment insurance, please use the CSS portal in the NUI system. That is the quickest and easiest way for Nevadans to check on their claim. All of our websites are up and running, and Nevadans can go to any one of our websites for further information, whether it's for unemployment insurance, workforce, rehabilitation, and the Nevada Equal Rights Commission. Our employee NV offices, workforce, are open and serving Nevadans looking for jobs and new careers. We have 46 statewide offices there to help. Our rehabilitation division, which takes care of individuals with disabilities and connecting them with employment, is also available for walk-ins and clients with appointments. As I said, the Nevada Equal Rights Commission is open and serving Nevadans. We are here to serve Nevadans, and that is the priority. Bottom line. And I'll turn this back over to Governor Lombardo. Governor?
All right, before I get into the Q&A portion, I want to provide a small bit of clarification on something I said earlier. I became aware of, when I gave you the anecdotal example of information, an unknown what that information was, I became aware that I inadvertently said personal information. That is unknown. We know that some data has been extricated, but we don't know what that data entails at this point. And we'll work through that process. And if it contains, we eventually find out it contains personal identifiers, obviously we'll make that public as soon as possible. So, questions?
Governor, would you say that this is the most serious crisis you've faced since you've been elected?
Well, it's hard to quantify that, right? So it's yeah, I would say so. It's and the reason why it's easy to couch it in that manner is because of the longevity of it and the unknown still in this short period of time or long period of time, whatever your perception is on that. But it has a definitive effect on a great deal of people, not a small group of people, which is concerning. And as we work through the process, hopefully we'll be able to provide answers in short order.
One of the questions we kept getting from our listeners when we asked them, what do you want to ask the governor at this news conference was why he wasn't at the news conference yesterday. I know you said you were in touch with all your department heads and in constant contact since this began. But do you have any regrets about not being at yesterday's conference and not being the face of responding to this crisis?
Well, I believe I was the face of responding to this crisis in the early infancy of it and the continued process. But like I described in the emergency management phase response, we were in the recovery phase, and I felt comfortable for the department subject matter experts to respond to the public and explain our current situation. Obviously, I stand before you today and to address any concerns with my absence. But I'm here today to answer any questions and give hopefully give the citizens of Nevada confidence with my presence. Another piece on this is, it would be easy to say, well, why didn't you just cancel your previous commitments? Well, there was a significant number of constituents in those particular jurisdictions that were awaiting my presence in order to express their grievances with what they're dealing with state government and the federal government, in particular to energy, water needs, emergency management up in the Cottonwood fire up in the northern Elko jurisdiction, the recent flooding that had occurred by coincidence in our presence during the ribbon cutting of the temple. And I felt my presence was needed to answer their questions and the perception of avoidance.
Governor Lombardo, just to follow up on that, some are saying not only was it yesterday, but this incident happened on Sunday morning and they didn't hear from you on Monday or Tuesday either. Would you be able to comment?
Because we were walking through the process, we don't know what was affected in the early infancy of this. And as we respond and mitigate and continue to evaluate, I couldn't give you answers in that response. The only thing we were aware of, there was an intrusion. And that intrusion, we were notified because of our endemic systems and ability to produce red flags when there is a obvious intrusion into the system. Well, listen, this press conference is not intended to address my absence. I'm here, I'm taking care of business, and it never swayed from my responsibility as your governor. This press conference is to provide the constituents of the state of Nevada our current situation with state resources and to give you a window into when we will have complete resources occur.
How safe are the people's information using the service that you provide now? How safe?
I think Tim can answer to it.
Yeah, we're still evaluating all of the components of this incident, so that will be something to come. We are still understanding the breadth and the scope of what data may have left our system, and we'll continue to keep you up to date as we move forward.
At yesterday's press conference, officials with the governor's technology office said that you will follow appropriate steps if you find that personal information was stolen. What will those steps be?
So I think we may have Tim Galuzzi on the line that may be able to address that, but we can definitely follow up if he's not available to make that. It looks like they may be coming online here. Sorry.
This is Tim Galuzzi. If there is a confirmed release of personal identifiable information, we would take steps to notify the individuals impacted by that release and follow legal steps outlined per statute.
Has there been an audit of the cybersecurity systems prior to this incident?
Tim, is that something you may be able to address?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, has there been an audit to the state's cybersecurity systems before this incident occurred?
This is Tim Galuzzi again. The state's technology infrastructure remains under a pretty frequent audit from multiple entities pretty regularly. So I would have to answer yes.
And what would those entities be exactly?
Multiple federal entities from the Social Security Administration and other entities that we partner with.
Should people take preemptive steps to protect themselves?
In general, there's always steps that individuals should always take to protect themselves for risk of cybersecurity and protecting their personal identifiable information. I believe we talked yesterday about ensuring good password hygiene. We always recommend that people are always cognizant of phishing attempts, ensuring that we're not clicking on suspicious links, and just being wary of who's sending you emails, etc., and just becoming cyber aware and just understanding what threats might exist out there.
You mentioned public information. There's no evidence that that has been taken, but I know a lot of locals, they are telling us that they're scared. They're worried that this is happening. What would you say to them, the people who are worried about this?
obviously have patience, right? We understand their concern, and it's our first priority to inform people if their information has been compromised. We can't say that currently, okay? As we work through our third-party vendor to address this particular issue, we can get that information out as soon as possible.
And as a follow-up, so many people are wondering how this can happen, how, a statewide closure of this magnitude can happen.
Well, it's not a statewide closure.
Sure.
I'm going to provide that clarification. There's certain departments within the state have been affected. The state in totality has not been affected. We don't have a single point of failure in the state systems, and that's by design. All right. So as Chris Sewell mentioned, the Department of Dieter, it is siloed separately to prevent those type of issues from happening. So unfortunately, this one was compromised, this particular silo. So we worked through it, and we're working through it, and I understand everybody's frustration. I'm frustrated. I wish I had the answers currently, but I have confidence in our response and our continued evaluation of the systems.
Are the only agencies?
I'm going to address your question that you presented earlier. So the mitigation factors and the firewalling and the prevention happens internally also. As a matter of practice within our IT services here at the state, passwords are changed, ordered to be changed constantly and timely in order to have access to the systems because of this particular concern. So we are always evaluating our existing systems.
Do you have is there a state policy?
Sorry, Steve, go ahead.
Okay. Is there a Tim said yesterday this was a ransomware attack. Does the state have a policy in terms of how you deal with the ransomware attack? In other words, you will never pay or you will pay under certain...
There's no absolute policy, but all those are under consideration. We do have an insurance policy that helps us in that decision making, but we evaluate the need to rebuild versus to pay a ransom at any time.
Kyle Pinch, KLAS TV. Governor, one of the speakers said, for instance, he wasn't paying nonprofits, quote, until the system is safe. Are your systems offline because they're still compromised, or in other words, are you still under attack?
Not necessarily under attack or compromise, but to ensure that they're safe.
But are you under attack?
At this point, no.
Are the only agencies not affected on their own cloud services, and is there a reason why some agencies had cloud backups and some didn't?
I'm sorry. One more time.
Sorry. So some agencies, are the only state agencies not affected? Are they the ones on cloud, had their own cloud backup? And is there a reason why some agencies had cloud backup and others didn't?
We don't have a single point of failure across the entire state.
Okay.
And that's the reason why they're siloed and different silos. Okay.
Governor Anders Gier, CBS News. Last year, Fulton County, Georgia, home of Atlanta, was hit by a ransomware attack. They refused to pay and ended up rebuilding their systems from scratch. Is that what's happening here right now in the state of Nevada? You guys are building essentially from your backups?
We are currently evaluating the best path forward. But while we're evaluating that, we are rebuilding our systems as we speak.
And is that what is adding to the length of duration as to getting
this? As you can imagine, the complicated systems and the amount of data that is within the system, it takes a long time for the merge of that information and the production and ability to use that information. So any cyber attack, no matter what the intrusion level is, it's a very difficult situation to mitigate, and we're working through that process.
Can you provide any comment on the cyber criminals' identities or motives, and if their actions are tied to other incidents across the state?
Not at this time.
Have they contacted you?
I'm sorry?
Have the attackers contacted you?
All that information, we know that there was an intrusion, and we're evaluating how the intrusion occurred, and currently CISA from the federal government is evaluating whether there's a demand or the ability to receive additional information.
Are you able to
and identify the person.
So that's not clear, though, that there's been a demand.
Still, absolutely. No, it's clear there's been an intrusion. It's not clear what the motive was. So,
are you able to share what the ransom is? And then my second question.
The answer to that question is no. I just answered.
Okay. The second part is you are mentioning Dieter and how this worked out for them to stay up. Will more departments now be siloed moving forward if this happened again, that they would be up and running immediately?
Well, that's a complicated process, right? We've done a good job up till now in siloing a significant amount of our work product and production and an ability to use state resources. And we'll determine whether that's a linchpin in our ability to function into the future. Obviously, we're going to, after action this to the T, and determine how we can do better.
Governor, what was Nevada's level of preparedness to handle an event like this? Were you prepared? Was there any?
I'm absolutely confident in our level of preparedness. Now, this isn't, nobody's been in a cave or under a rock in this past history. We're aware our casino environments have been intruded upon, our local businesses have been intruded upon, not just in Nevada, but the entire nation, in the entire world. So it would be malpractice not in order to triage that, provide defenses against something like that happening, but you're always aware in the back of your mind it could happen. And that's why it's important for people to understand the emergency management phase in responding to a crisis. And the first two phases is mitigation and preparedness. Mitigation is preventing it from happening. Unfortunately, you can't prevent everything from happening, all right? Example, this case. And the preparedness is, red teaming and doing everything you can, tabletop exercises, and have third parties attempt intrusion into your systems. We have done that. Unfortunately, they had access into our systems, and we're evaluating why.
Anaya Collins, the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Have you guys been able to identify during your investigation what they were after, and do you guys know of any enemies you guys might have?
I would answer your question similar to Mr. Jackson's question. No, we're not aware of what they were attempting to receive or what information they were attempting to have. Part of the response in a lot of these environments is to be slow and methodical, as that you do not open up doors into further intrusion into the systems, and how you mitigate the initial intrusion to prevent further intrusion. And enemies, we're government. The government has a lot of enemies. But what we do here in the state of Nevada provide the best service that we can.
Governor, along those lines, folks at the DMV frustrated. You said earlier you're frustrated. Your direct message to the bad actors who did this.
My direct message, we're aware, and we're going to do everything to ensure that the investigation identifies who the bad actors are and ensure that we have robust prosecution.
We're right at time. We're at an hour. While we have directors here, I want to respect their time as well. Does anyone have questions about constituent services, since we have all the directors here and other representatives from state government?
I have a question for the DMV. I know you mentioned the 2 weeks following the reopening, you guys are going to allow people who had appointments to be able to come in and still address that. How are you going to be able to do that, though, if this continues on for a couple more days and we just have lines and lines of people stretched out at the DMV?
That's a great question. So, currently, on Tuesday evenings, we release a book of appointments for all day on Wednesday. We're hoping that Wednesdays will be able to absorb the bulk of the customers that were not able to meet their appointments. And then, of course, we're going to be asking repeatedly for the community's assistance in making sure that when our online services come back up, please, if you can do your transaction online, free up our window capacity for the customers that don't have a choice but to come into an office, and that will dramatically reduce the congestion that we see in our offices when we reopen.
And you mentioned that there'll be walk-up. Is it going to be like a traditional walk-up where they may be, I guess, for lack of better terms, almost pushed off to the side a little bit?
What we're planning to do at this point in time is, again, depending on the days of the closure, to your point, is we would first fill up our Wednesday appointment slots that are available, and then on the other days, because we're still accepting the appointments that have been booked out 60 and 90 days in advance, we will fill slots with canceled appointments with the individuals that are waiting, and then we'll in order of priority of importance of the transaction that's being done, we'll either help with permits to extend the time out for them to come back, or if they're missing paperwork, the same thing, giving them courtesy to come back and get that done at a later time without penalty, and then in order of priority of importance, those transactions done first, and then asking the customers that we can't help right away to come back on another day.
If someone were to get a smog test done, is that information being sent to DMV currently, or is it still down?
That information, as of today, is being sent to DMV.
As a follow-up,
Thanks.
For those who you're honoring as walk-ins later on, what happens with people who are coming in as walk-ins who weren't one of the missed appointments? Is there a way to give priority if the ones who are missed weren't able to fill one of the slots?
Yes, again, depending on the transaction, we're going to take those to be served at our windows in order of priority. So if, for example, somebody needs a real ID to travel, we're going to get that in before somebody that needs to renew their registration or do a new registration if we can help them with a permit and ask them to come back on another day.
Tim, just to clarify, you said that this was discovered Sunday, noticed on Sunday morning and confirmed on Sunday night. Do you know how long the intrusion was going on before that?
So that's still something being evaluated. I don't think that we could speculate on that detail.
Yeah, but you just noticed it Sunday morning.
Yes, Tim Galuzzi's team at the Governor's Technology Office did identify some anomalous behavior in that period and worked to quarantine that environment and take the proper precautions to make sure that other systems weren't impacted. And that was some of the effort that was done on Sunday. And it looks like Tim may have additional to add there.
Yeah, that's correct. This is Tim Galuzzi. What we saw was initially anomalous network behavior. Upon investigation, troubleshooting of that anomalous network behavior, it was determined that it was a cybersecurity incident. And once that happened, we did enact our pre-planned cybersecurity action plan, and that was Sunday afternoon.
Is there a reason that some agencies are siloed and some are not?
So, I think we work to modernize our systems, right? I think the governor has also helped roll out some of our more modern systems in recent weeks and months. We continue to make those investments in state infrastructure to ensure that we can have the best available platforms to be able to provide the services to the residents, and that's going to continue.
Mr. Rob, earlier this month, there were two conferences, cybersecurity conferences held here in Las Vegas, Black Hat and DEF CON. Any indication at this point if that may have been why you guys were targeted here in the state of Nevada?
I don't think we can speculate on any of that.
There may be some out there who make the connection, your message to those folks.
I think we're still evaluating every component of this, and that will be ongoing. And I think there will be details to share further down the road, but that's not today.
We have time for one more.
I have one for the governor.
Okay.
Governor, what was compromised through the access points? Are they a result of an archaic tech system the state has?
No, I wouldn't say that. I'm Tim Galuzzi, our IT director, very progressive, and the state has done some recent upgrades into the existing hierarchical system. But as you know how fast technology moves, right? And it's very difficult for a state organization to keep up with those movements, especially the nefarious acts. But in today's current situation, I feel comfortable where we're at. But obviously, we've been intruded upon, right? So we have to figure out why that happened, how it was able to happen, and ensure it doesn't happen into the future. Listen, everybody, thank you. Thank you for your good questions. Thank you for your interest, for your listeners. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to express our current situation and what the state can do today and what we'll be able to do tomorrow. And we will have constant updates reference to each service as it comes online. It may be done via personal contact through my communication unit, or it may be done online. And when it rises to a certain level, total public interest, we will again convene a press conference similar to the situation to provide additional information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been watching Breaking News from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.